Welcome back, everyone, to Engineers. We've got Matthew Denner today with us, and Matthew's from Loveholidays. And they've had an interesting period over the last, let's just say, 8-9 months, with COVID hitting the travel industry and their plans to reinvent customer experience. So, Matthew, do you want to give everyone a big hello and talk to us a little bit about what you do at Loveholidays before we dive into Loveholidays?
Sure. So, hello. Thank you for having me. So, I'm Matthew. I'm a principal engineer at Loveholidays, which basically means I look after sort of a couple of teams, but my main focus has been within the contact center and the customer experience side of things in recent months.
Okay. Who are Loveholidays? Big question.
Yeah, we are. I think we can describe us as like the UK's biggest travel agent you've never heard of.
Okay.
We were founded in like 2012, and we're what is called an online travel agent. So we are like the website you go to book your holiday, and we've grown pretty dramatically over that period. In 2019, we were the 4th largest ATOL license holder. Okay. So that's about 1.3 million people who flew with us. And we were recognized as the fastest growing privately owned business in the UK as well. So it was pretty dramatic.
Nice. Okay. And obviously we've had a huge shift to move online over the last couple of years. Is that the mindset from powers that be or C-level to decide, right, let's build something online that we can be pretty central. People can just come online, pick and choose their holidays or customize holidays. How does it work?
Yeah, so I think like I'm old enough probably to remember going into a travel agent on the high street, and I'd have gone in with my parents, and they would have said, we want to go somewhere warm and with a beach, and we've got a kid, so we need something to entertain the kid. And you would have worked with that travel agent to build the holiday experience. You wouldn't have done what other online travel agents are doing at the moment, which is, you pick a destination, like I want to go to Barcelona and I want to go these weeks or whatever, right? And so Loveholidays is trying to create that experience. So if you go to our website, you can press search and just search, and it will do, I think it's a default of like 7 days with 2 people. But it will just offer you up all the locations. And that's because we have a 500 million flight and hotel room combinations, and we cache that. So that's like a lot of the market. And we cache it locally. And that means that we can provide this like open-ended, faceted search. And so you can refine it down. And so that's the experience we want. The other side of that is it's then very quick, right? So you don't see a spinner until you get to actually booking. And then once you get to booking, we sort of absorb any price changes that might have happened, or if your flight might be fully booked by that point. So that's the experience. Fast and more like a high street travel agent.
Wow. Okay. Talk to us a little bit about COVID. Okay. COVID and holidays is a terrible combination. So before we talk about some of the tech, talk to us about that experience from lockdown, I think March the 20th. What happened internally?
Yeah, you sort of alluded to it. COVID's been had a massive impact on our business. I think if I go back to like just about a week before that lockdown, we had we'd been hearing about Italy and I think it was Lombardy, the region in Italy, where they were having high cases, and we were sending SMSs to our customers saying, look, if you're there, are you safe? If you're going there, no, don't travel, kind of thing. And I can remember being in a steering meeting for the business, and asking, I don't think it was me, but somebody in the room asked, what happens if nobody can travel? And the answer was well, if that happens, it's a lot worse. Yeah, right. It's like you've got bigger problems. And so that was Friday, I think. Like Saturday morning, we were hearing about planes turning around in midair, we then start hearing about like Spain closing its borders, and then another couple of other countries close their borders, and then the UK shut its airspace, and we were in that situation where we had tens of thousands of people on holiday abroad, and you have to contact them and say, are you safe? Can you get home? And like I said, you need to say that to those people who are about to travel, who are literally on their way to the airport, going, don't go to the airport, turn around, go home. And that was pretty intense. I think to try and give it a perspective, Thomas Cook collapsed at the end of 2019. And at that point, we had to contact 30,000 customers and say, Thomas Cook has collapsed. We're going to rearrange things for you. And we had like just general staff on the call center phones taking calls. We had engineers working like 72 hours to book people onto other airlines and stuff.
Wow.
And that was just 30,000. COVID has been like that every time a border has opened or closed. So that's the scale of the problem you deal with. And that's just ongoing.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Okay.
It was intense.
That's intense. And it's scary. You're quick to forget what's happened even several months before. Remember the Thomas Cook incident. Okay. I had a chat with Eugene, and this is a shout out to Eugene Neal as well, who's looking after some of this reinvention of the customer experience. Obviously, big shout out to you. We're here, and there's other people in the team. So talk to me about that conversation. This might have happened back in 2019 as well, to reinvent the customer experience, but talk to me about migrating your call centers and automating some of that, because let's talk about it, the challenges and the fun parts of doing that.
Yeah, so I think as you called out Eugene had, he joined Loveholidays to take that sort of task on, and we'd sort of identified that we were going to use a product called Twilio. Twilio is like a communications platform. Right? Think about it like it has SMS sending capabilities, it has WhatsApp integration, they own SendGrid, so they are about communications, but they're also then like a product above that, which is like a call center product, like for actual agents and receiving and making calls. And so we'd already selected that as like what we were going to use as a product, and we'd used it for sending SMSs. So that was what we wanted to do. What happened was COVID accelerated that like pretty dramatically, right? So we had to form a team, which was about 3 or 4 people. We had to deal with like not only shifting agents into that platform, and dealing with things, but also dealing with the fact that the agents were then going from like an office-based environment where they got a decent connection, decent monitors, all that kind of stuff, to working at home, working from their sofa or wherever it was with a 4G connection, which amazingly Twilio has handled really well. But we also had to deal with the fact that we'd cancelled all these holidays. We had customers who were phoning us up going, no, one, I want my refund, but 2, I want to know if I can go on holiday. And that volume of calls was just too dramatic. So we shut the phone lines, which was something we'd never done before. We then took that opportunity to use it to migration path to Twilio. So we turned on live chat on the website, hooked up Twilio to some of our booking data, put the tool that the agents use to view bookings inside Twilio, so actually embedded it in the user interface that they had, and turned it on and watched what happened. And our agents were like 20% more productive because they weren't flicking between windows. So that was a big win. But we were handling like 100,000 contacts a month. So you think about it, that's starts at 9 o'clock, finishes at 8 p.m. We had this like tidal wave of people at 9 a.m. trying to get in. Yeah. And we were just overwhelmed, and we couldn't deal with the volume we were hitting. So we had to start prioritizing people. So people were closer to departure, we would prioritize them in a queue. Yeah. But that meant that somebody was just phoning about their holiday 6 months down the line or next year. They would they would be back at the back of the queue and they'd be waiting, and they could be waiting hours. Right?
Yeah.
And it was hours. It was like 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
We introduced this SMS functionality. So we had the ability for the customer to enter their phone number in the chat, and then that would be used to send them an SMS when they got close to the front of the queue. And that SMS would contain a link, and that link would bring them back into their chat. So rather than sitting there at their computer for 6 hours waiting for an agent, they could go off and they could do something else, and they could come back with like 15 or 20 minutes. And like thousands of people take this every day. And it's got a 90% return rate, which is amazing. And it's also something that Twilio didn't know they could do. They didn't know that this was going to be a good thing to do. And so they're really interested in this as well. And then like that's people phoning up about, can I fly, and asking them questions. But then you've got people wanting refunds.
Yeah.
And obviously loads of people, right? And it's a hot topic. And, I think, so what we did was we built they call it an IVR. And I don't know what an IVR stands for. It's like interactive voice thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's basically you phone up. You phone up your bank. You go, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And so we built a line like that. They would enter their booking reference. The line would decide if that booking was due a refund. They'd be put through to an agent. Yeah. But that again, you've cancelled God knows how many holidays. That got overwhelmed, and so we had to automate away the agents and how you'd phone a line. And rather than be put through an agent, you'd be put through to another system, which would say you press 1 to accept the refund, and that was all good. That took like 250,000 calls between April and July, I think, which is, again, insane figures. But I think, to put that in perspective, I think to call out Eugene again, Eugene went to a conference and he spoke to somebody and they said they were doing like 200,000 calls or chats. And he was like, that's like twice that, that's quite good. And then they said they're doing it every week and we're doing it every month. So there is another scale above us. So these aren't big numbers for us, and the big numbers probably for our industry, but they're not so big numbers for Twilio itself. But all that happened like almost overnight. We were given like 12 weeks. Our contract was said to run out in like July. But actually what happened was somebody actually got the date wrong. It was actually June. So we had to do this in 8 weeks. So we did a shift in 8 weeks, which is insane and like very intense. Very, very, very intense.
What underpins that success? Or what are you most proud of?
So I think, so Eugene tells me that actually like moving a contact center is quite a big job to do, right? And it takes months and sometimes up to like a year.
Yeah.
But the fact that we did it in 8 weeks with like 3 or 4 people was absolutely amazing, right? I think that's credit to one, the choice of technology. I mean, Twilio is I talk about it like a product, but it's not. From my perspective as an engineer, it's like a collection of APIs and tools that I can kind of plug and join together. And it's highly adaptable, and that was awesome, really, really good. So that part of it was selecting that tool. I think the fact that we had that clear goal was useful, and I think that's the way that we try and work anyway. So you go clear goal and some way of measuring your success. Our measure of success was, can people contact us? Can they get their refund? And one, can we get out of our existing contract by that deadline? So we had clear goals, clear ways of measuring our progress. So I think that was a big driver. I think the other side of it is having a team which is like a cohesive unit who can like work with purpose, work with autonomy, own the problem, be responsible for it, right? And know that. And I think the whole team worked in a way which sort of like, so I describe it like breathing. You push forward and you do something, and then you kind of relax, and then you push forward and you breathe, and so you create that little space to do something quick, learn something, and then create some space for you to fix up the problems you've created, because you undoubtedly, when you're moving that fast, you are creating those problems. You have to come back and do them. But I think like it's can't ignore the COVID thing as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would have migrated like that. that was a pressure. So
yeah. We spoke offline about this. It was a good propeller to force your hand essentially and say, well, you don't have too many choices but to do it this way. So everyone kind of mucks in and just does it, right?
Yeah. Startup mentality, right? You've got this like problem, which is, let's face it, pretty much shutting your business, right? You at that point when we were in lockdown, you couldn't travel, right? And that was very few people booking because they were worried about it. And traditionally they were booked a year out, but that sort of died off as well. But that incredible focus, that just you have to get something done, and knowing that you're doing it to help people who are worried and nervous, and rightly so, right?
Is that quite reflective of the Loveholidays mindset? We're talking about one team right here as well. There were, I'm sure, many conversations in other rooms where people were probably thinking, shit, what happens if we don't do this? Or we need to do this. So is that quite reflective of how you've worked as to what happens in other parts of Loveholidays?
I think every area of the business felt that pressure, right? I think we faced up to it maybe directly because of the way we were interacting with those customers, but every part of the business felt it. Every team felt it. It would be wrong to single us out as a focal point. I think we've got I guess it might be useful to describe a bit of the structure of like Loveholidays itself. Right?
Sure.
If you think about us as like a marketplace, right? On one side you have customers wanting a holiday. On the other side you've got suppliers like airlines and hotels wanting to sell flights and hotel rooms and hire cars or whatever it is, right? And we sit in the middle, and so we interact with the suppliers, and we interact with the customers, and we try and bring the two together and try and get somebody the holiday that they want, and we try and get the suppliers, passengers, and people in their rooms, right?
Yeah.
And so we're structured similarly to that as well. So at the back end, you have a team called supply, and they look after suppliers. You can imagine, right? There's no uniformity across any of the suppliers, and they all do things in their own way, as every industry does, with like lots of businesses inside it. And so supply insulate our core business from that. They provide that uniform interface and that feed. On the other side, you have teams like the digital product side of things, which are looking after like the website. There's a team looking after like our new mobile app and managing the booking experience.
Yeah.
And then there's the customer experience, the contact center as well, right? And then in the middle we have like a core set of teams which are around like generating that market, handling that market, and then dealing with your booking in that market, right? And so they're like the middlemen between the customers and the suppliers, if you want, right? And so that's how we're structured. I think if you look at what COVID did to us, it hit our contact center hard because people wanted to get in. It hit the bookings sort of side of things because we had to deal with mass cancellations, mass changes, and it's ongoing, right? It's borders opening up and borders closing, and those all impact that team. So that's doing some stuff. And then the suppliers, they are cancelling flights, they're delaying flights, they're changing their conditions of travel, all these kind of things. And that's supply's job, is to insulate from that. So all of these teams were hit by it. And then alongside that, you've got the teams which are sort of outside that. You've got like the finance team, they're dealing with the money of the business, and you've got HR, which are dealing with people working from home. It's like it was pretty dramatic, right? So yeah, everybody got hit, and I think we've worked really hard for that.
Yeah. Can you go into a little bit more depth for us and the listeners on? You've spoken about some of the teams, supply, bookings, mobile experience. Can you go into some of that, if you like, architecture, and talk to us about, not super in depth, just a high level overview and maybe some of the tech tools that you guys use and why?
Yeah. So we are, I'm going to say, like entirely hosted within Google Cloud, right? Those teams are fundamentally using Google Cloud technologies. There might be a few other systems lying around, but they're the odd one or two. Yep. But each of those teams is able to operate how they want to operate. They run their processes how they want, which means that they build the systems that they want. They look after the systems they want. And so traditionally, Loveholidays has been like a bit of a Java shop and has written a lot of Java, but over time we're starting to become more polyglot. And so we're building microservices. In some cases, we've got microliths, a bit bigger than a microservice, a bit smaller than monolith.
Microliths?
Yeah, a microlith. That's what I like to call them. It's like a
microlith.
Yeah.
A microlift, something that you go up. And I was thinking, I haven't heard of that.
We're pretty good at building lifts. So they got microservices. That's essentially architecture.
Yeah.
A lot of interconnections between those are over HTTP, but we also do some stuff over like PubSub because obviously that's Google core messaging offering from Google.
Yeah.
And we've got a bit of Kafka. We've got a bit of RabbitMQ. So it's very because each team runs itself, it can pick what it wants, but you have to worry about then the bits in between that you have to worry about. Like I said, Java languages like Java, Rust. We're doing some pretty awesome stuff in the sort of front end team to do with like Rust.
CMS, I hear. Rebuilding.
Yeah, we're doing a bit from CMS, but we're also doing some A/B testing stuff right on the very edge. So up in like Fastly, we use Fastly as a sort of interface into our systems, and we're doing some like really cool stuff with A/B testing on that edge. We've got that team, like I mentioned, looking after the mobile apps. So they've literally started building a mobile app like 3 months ago, and they're using like React Native, I think, because that's offers us that ability to do that multi-platform kind of stuff for one code base. And we're lucky that our app is not using anything amazingly unique to an operating system, so you can build that stuff out.
Okay.
Like in the CX team, we use a lot of JavaScript, but we are bringing like automation and natural language understanding in. So we're doing a lot of stuff with Google Dialogflow, to do with bots, and we're doing some stuff which is really cool with Twilio and Google to do around actual contact center AI. So actually not just handling that customer interaction and answering their questions with automation, but then supporting agents at the same time. So we're doing like agent assistance kind of thing where you and I could be chatting on a chat, and you might be mentioning Ryanair or EasyJet or another airline, and this automation system would be feeding me as the agent some information about that airline, about that query, about your booking, all this kind of stuff automatically, like interpreting the conversation, which is really, really cool, right? And I think we've recently gone live with that to start with, like as an MVP kind of thing, and I think that makes us one of the first in the world to be doing that, if not the first to be using it specifically within Twilio.
Wow.
Next step is voice, so doing it with voice conversation as well.
I can imagine. How does that actually work? The AI and the chatbot. How does that actually work?
Yeah, so like maybe a little bit of description about Dialogflow and that NLU stuff. I treat you like you don't know anything.
Please do.
Yeah. So when you have a bot, and this is my interpretation of this, you have what's called intents. So you'll be typing something like, where's my refund, or can I have my money back, or something like that. And those intents, those text, those phrases map to an intent. And that intent is seen as like a refund intent. And that's what like the language understanding system does. It takes text and interprets it and takes lots of examples, measures what you've typed against those examples, and decides that matches this intent of refund.
Yeah.
That can drive either the bot to say something directly, or it can hand off to a system in the background called like a fulfillment service, where where you can write code to interpret it. And so it hands over a bunch of information, like how confident it is that it's that intent, sentiment analysis information, all this kind of stuff. Your system can then use that and interpret that to do stuff. So I might know that you've asked about a refund. I might have some context about your booking. I can go and get your booking. I can look to see whether you're due a refund, and I can then reply back with either some text to say, "Hey, yes, you're due a refund," which the bot will then send on, or like an event to drive the bot to do something else, which can then flow into another intent, and so on, right? And so you build up like this. You use these intents to build up a conversation, and your first reaction is to say, "Well, I want a structured conversation." So I would go, "Do you want a refund? Yes, no." And you have a sort of follow-up intent to do that, which was like, "Do you want it paid in dollars or pounds?" And you would say dollars or pounds, and you build like this very structured, true, rigid thing. But actually, what Dialogflow is great at is building that conversation very naturally, like you and I are having now. It can do that, and it can take those intents, and it can form that conversation. And so all we're doing is, rather than sending the responses from that bot back to the customer, which we can do, and we do, we can actually feed that information back up into the agent interface, and that's a product written by a company called Savio, and we're using that as our integration. So yeah,
awesome. Nice. No, that did. Okay. I think automation tools are fab for customer service, people anywhere, or thinking tech, right? If you can actually replicate some of the manual stuff yourself with that automation, that's what it's there for. Yeah. Going back to the Twilio thing, because I think what you've done is fantastic. What do you think are some of the learnings and key takeaways from that, working in a small team, that collaboration, being agile, moving fast? There probably are the key takeaways, but what else do you think you're going to take forward and latch onto for Loveholidays?
I think you're absolutely right that, like, as engineers and as the tech community, right, we expect that ownership and we expect that agility and all that kind of stuff. Those are kind of like givens. I think the experience of COVID and the contact center move and everything like that is that our customers and people in general are shifting in society, right? I think we are shifting away from, like, you and I having this conversation over a video link, right? And I, at the beginning of COVID, I hated these kind of things, right? I wanted to do phone calls, and I'd phone people and I'd speak to them on the phone, and then even that was sort of a horrible experience. But I've adapted, and I think that's like society and particularly kids, because I've got a 16-year-old son. You know, they're moving into this environment, and I think we have to as well as businesses. And so one of the takeaways from the COVID experience and from this experience is that our customers want to contact us, and they want to contact us in a way that suits them whenever they want, wherever they want, however they want, right? Which means that we have to, we've offered live chat. We're going to be offering voice as well, but we have to offer things like WhatsApp, Facebook. Lots of people contact us through Facebook. And we currently have Facebook in one system and like our agent sitting in Twilio in another system. And we need to bring those two together to gain that experience, that improvement and performance enhancement that we found right at the very beginning of COVID when we pulled our booking system into that interface. We can bring social in there and it's a consistent experience. Our agents will be more productive. So we have to do that. I think that's a benefit, and that's something I'm taking away and learning, that consistent interface, consistent experience, better, cater to the customers. I think the mobile app's another one, right? I think we need to open the mobile app up to customers and like that as another communication, because that tells me it's you. It's you on your, and rather than booking, it's a person. It's on your phone. I can do some stuff like I can tell where you are. Like I can tell you didn't go on holiday when you said you're still at home. So yeah, I think the takeaway is really that we shouldn't be afraid to have those conversations with our customers. We should open it up. We should allow them to contact us. We should enable them, like you say, to to get answers to automation. Because you can go to a website, you can read FAQs, but who wants to read FAQs when you can be told?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think you make a couple of really good points about what's current right now. Facebook, WhatsApp, mobile. These are things, for example, it is a pink phone, excuse me. These are things that are current and we use every day, right? A mobile app is in our face, exactly like other people use Instagram, WhatsApp. That is our mechanism to be able to talk to X business or X customer.
Yeah.
So be where your customers are at. I think that's a smart play, and I think a lot of companies in the travel space won't reinvent and be like that, right?
Yeah, I think that's I think reinvention is absolutely the word you have to use here. Right, we are, as an industry, we are being hit very hard, and that's not to say other industries aren't, but we are being hit very hard. And I think the businesses which survive those kind of events, the businesses which can adapt and can reinvent themselves and reinvent that industry itself, we see that all the time, and I think that's what we as a company are positioned to do, and I think that's what our industry needs, and it's COVID's been a blessing and a curse, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah, good. I think for a lot of people,
Yeah.
in truth, a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for 2021 and Loveholidays, or is it? Let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be lots and lots of holidays, right? Everybody will be on holiday. I think that's the other thing about all of this, right? We talk about this and we do about this, but COVID's with us, right? I think COVID has gone from being the story to being the background of every story, and it's become our BAU in what we do. I think we're hearing about vaccines, we're hearing about them being like 94% effective. And I think that's great, right? I think we should be cautiously optimistic about that.
Yeah.
I think we have to consider that like next year is going to be tough, whichever way you look at it. Right? I think personally looking at it, you've got COVID in the background, you've got the potential of vaccines maybe later in the year. I think because of like the way that they would probably give those vaccines out, I suspect they're going to give them to frontline workers first because they're the people who are looking after us. I think that's the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to go on a holiday. That's great. They're going to be like, I suspect we're going to have restrictions on travel to some extent. We're probably going to say like you can go on holiday, but you should definitely have like a vaccine certificate or something like that. I don't know, but they're already asking you to have a negative COVID test for entry into some countries. But I think that's COVID and stuff. I think we've got the looming thing of Brexit, which is kind of been pushed to the back. So I think it's going to be tough. I think what we are doing as a business is trying to capitalize on this moment to look forward to that moment, right? And if we can do better contacts, we can do better customer interactions, we can offer a better experience, and we can hold on to that market. I think we're going to do really well. Right? I hope.
Nice. Okay, and I think for anyone listening, a travel company that stayed resilient, that have some really interesting ideas about a mobile experience, reinventing customer experience that I think Twilio want to talk on, if I'm right.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure some interesting challenges around supply and core and other facets of the business, then tune in, talk to Matthew, talk to Eugene, talk to many other people, or reach out to many other people in the business, because seemingly there's some interesting challenges going on. You don't have to be from a Java background. You heard it. There are lots of different environments and different ways to build microservices. I think just taking a general view on engineering, you should be fine. Or modern engineering, you should be fine. So get in touch with these guys. I want to say a big thanks. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're allowing people like myself, many others, to continue to travel or get our money back. When money's at risk, right, we do all go into a little bit of meltdown and think, what's going on? But big thanks to you guys.
Yeah, well, thank you. Book holiday. That's what should be saying.
I will. There'll be some pressure, no doubt. There'll be some pressure. but tune in. There's some links below in regards to Loveholidays, what they're doing, what they're building, that you can check out as well, and Matthew's LinkedIn profile, so you can check out Matthew. Just want to say a big thanks.
You're welcome.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and bye for now. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode. Massively appreciate you listening and checking in with us. If you want to find out more about us and what we're doing, please check us out on social media. What we're trying to do at Engineers is build a community to drive knowledge sharing and experiences. On Twitter, we can be found engineers.io. It's no_. We've also got a website, which is engineers.io. These links will all be posted in the description. Any feedback and comments are massively appreciated. We're always looking to improve on where we can. Thanks, guys.